Why millennials and Gen Z are interested in going off-grid and homesteading.
A lot of people have been asking me why I think so many millennials and Gen Z folks are getting into off-grid living, homesteading, van life, that kind of stuff. So let's talk about it. You ever been in a relationship with a liar? I mean, like a dyed-in-the-wool, lies about stupid things, habitual liar. I mean, the ones that can't even help themselves. The relationship goes a little something like this. They tell you a lie, you question the lie. They tell you another lie to cover that lie up. You question it, and when it becomes abundantly clear that they can no longer lie to you, they attack you or your character to anyone who will listen. That also describes the relationship between our society as a whole and the younger generation. The older generations basically destroyed the economy, strip mined all of the future wealth and opportunity, as well as, and most importantly, hope, through their voting practices both politically and with their wallets through investments and what they valued. They also gave away a ton of their personal liberties in exchange for convenience.
I want to make sure that you guys understand that in 50 years, there's going to be a guy that's this age that's saying this about us. I want to promise you that that's going to happen.
Security right now, not even taking into consideration what that was going to mean for future generations. All the while, they told the younger generation all they had to do was get good grades, go to college, get a good job, and they too will have the American dream. They'll be able to buy a house, start a family, put money aside for retirement, and live the good life. That was a lie. When the younger generation, with almost infinite information at their fingertips to look up facts, started to question it, and it became clear to society that they could no longer perpetuate that lie, society went on the attack. They called them lazy, and they said that it was because they bought avocado toast and lattes every day that they were never going to have anything in the future. And then one day, they were on the internet and they came across a tutorial for how to grow avocados, how to make your own sourdough bread, how to steam milk. And they realized they could make their own avocado toast and they could make their own lattes. And they didn't have to work all day and night just to make enough money to afford to keep a roof over their head and still afford to pay for a couple of the things that they felt made life worth it. So they started looking for a different path forward. They found and followed people like my friend.
I still can't believe they can put a seed inside an avocado like that. I don't know how that happened. That to me is like, there are two things that convince me that there could be a God. Three things. Number one would be pineapples. Number two would be that the day that Burning Crusade came out, it was a snow day. And number three would be the fact that like the seed inside of an avocado is like so perfectly round and it would be in there and it can just be in there. Like, cause I remember whenever I got one, I said, there's no way. I bet somebody put that shit in there. Let me open it up myself. Like, cause I didn't believe it. So I went and I opened it up myself. I said that bitch was right in the middle. Can you fucking believe that?
Witch Homestead, who teaches you how to grow all your own food without having to buy a bunch of that chemically tainted stuff you get at the store. They found and followed people like my friends at B&R Homestead, who teach you how to raise chickens and bake your own sourdough bread. And they found and followed people like me, who teach you how to acquire land for a fraction of the cost that it takes to live in an apartment piled on top of 100 other people who are in the same position, while also teaching you how to make your own solar array and live off the grid. They set out to learn how to provide for themselves without having to fall for the lie that they've been told their whole life. Here's the thing about a liar. Their lies only work so long as you don't seek out and find the truth. And that society requires your dependence and reliance to stay relevant. The younger generations may not want to work their entire lives away without a glimmer of hope just to make up for the mistakes and misdeeds of their mothers and fathers. And society, at its most defensive, can call them lazy for that. But two things that they are not is quiet and stupid. In the last couple of years, they started hearing that they didn't have to be reliant or dependent either, and that got their attention. So I think that is why they invested in NFTs in the off-grid living and homesteading world and ask how. And I, for one, am going to do everything I can to answer that question. And honestly, I can't wait to see what they do with everything else that they find out.
I see what he's saying, but I feel like this is just like porn for disenfranchised millennials. Because like I know a lot of people that are in these positions, and I've grown up with them, And their lives are a product of their decisions. And they didn't work hard in school. They didn't go to college and take it seriously. They didn't do the things that they were supposed to do. And their life isn't what they want it to be. And so how is that society's fault? I'm not hearing that he's wrong. Well, I don't think that it's society's fault that some people are fucking losers. I don't. I think that sometimes people own their own failure, and it's because of their own lack of action or their own lack of effort. I'll give you some examples. The reason my teeth rotted out is because I didn't brush my teeth a lot and I drank a lot of soda. The reason I didn't get a job whenever I was younger is because I didn't put enough effort into it and I put my availability around my raid times. The reason why I didn't get good grades in school is because I didn't give a fuck. None of these things are society's fault. These are my decisions. Like, for example, the reason why I'm not in shape is because I haven't made working out a priority in my life. Now, whose fault is that? You could say that's society's fault. I could blame it on, 10 other people. But at the end of the day, it's my life. It's my fault. And so I think that really the self-reliance, I think that he brings up a good point, and there's a lot of people that feel the same way that he does. But I think that also one big factor of this is that people, I don't think, are really designed to live such an abstracted life from what they are made to do. Like, you think about even 100 years ago, like how much of a difference it was from, like, if you lived in the year 10,000 BC, you probably lived about the same as a person that lived in the year 9,000 BC. It probably wasn't that much different. But now the world is changing so fast. Things are evolving so fast. Even things that were 10 years ago normal are seen as archaic now, and people can't keep up with that. Things are so abstract, you don't even know what chickens, what a chicken tender is. It's like the shape of something that's not even a chicken. It turns into paste, etc. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of ways. Those boomers were able to buy a house and their education and less than a Burger King job. That's a bad perspective. Imagine you're born in some poor conditions. Society gives a shit about those kids. They're condemned from birth. No, they're not. There's plenty of kids that are successful whenever they're poor. No, I went to school with a bunch of poor people, and a lot of them just didn't put in any work and were fucking lazy. Your life's never going to get any better whenever you keep blaming society because you don't put any effort into it. It's never going to get better. I promise you that it will never get better. Do you think this is a symptom of survivorship bias? Do you think every boomer had things good? No. So what's this? So who thinks I'm wrong here? So what is this? Like, is there anybody that actually has an argument against this? Or are you guys just going to say that I'm stupid? What about, homie, an economic crisis? Is that your fault too? It's nobody's fault. Like, I mean, you can talk about, like, housing crisis is bad, economic crisis is bad. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's true. And, like, also, people are trying to live in massively dense places. Because there's a lot of places in the country that it's not that bad. And I know that it's worse than it's been in the past, but there's a spectrum. Like, you look at housing in San Francisco and housing in some random bumfuck city in Kansas, and these are not the same conversations. So what's going on? What did I say that upset you? I did my part? For what? What part? Jesus, come on, guys. Think your view is also based off the fact that you're doing well financially? There's people out there that worked hard in school, gone to a good college, simply not doing well financially. Oh, and this is what people always love to say. They always love to say that, oh, well, it's actually the perspective is because you're doing well, and if you weren't doing well, you would have a different perspective. I don't think that people advocating for their own best interest is a good argument. Like, if you're saying it's hard for me, so I think things are bad, that doesn't make me think that you're right. Like, I don't want to talk about, like, whether it's, like, it doesn't matter who it's coming from. Things are either true or they're not. Like, am I crazy? But whenever I was growing up, I knew a lot of people that were fucking losers, that put no work into going to school, that never learned anything, that just partied all through their 20s, didn't take college seriously, and now they're in a bad position. How many of you guys know people like this? Because I know dozens of them. Why are we constantly blaming some other outside force? And yes, there are some people that get fucked over. Absolutely. But I think that there's a lot of people who also reap what they sow. That's my point. Being born into poverty does not exclude you from success, but it does mean the road is going to be harder to travel. True. Absolutely. It's just that sometimes if you put in the effort, it doesn't fix the main economic issues nowadays. I think that a lot of times people say stuff like that, and it's like, here's a really good parallel. Do you remember what I told you guys whenever I said that a 5-minute conversation with an incel will explain perfectly why they're an incel? And like, I saw that video about an incel, and it was like, how does somebody get like this? And this guy had a bunch of fucking little figurines of lollies in his room. I think that if I had an actual fucking lens into your life, I could see exactly how it's your fault. Absolutely. And I think that's the case 9 out of 10 times. I get taking personal responsibility, but things can get a shit ton better, and we can acknowledge how things aren't getting easier right now. I think that the reason why a lot of people go off-grid is because the entire human experience is so removed from natural existence that it makes people uncomfortable to exist. I think that like economic conditions and things like that are a factor, but I think it's something that's a lot more primal as well. And I think that's a big fucking reason. Now, I can't speak for everybody, but I think that's a reason. Because people used to do this back in the day too. Before, you know, like even boomers used to go out and do this. So let's see, I'll read a few comments. We're going to look at the rest of these. If someone's life is ruined, it's up to that person, the individual, to fix their own fucking life. Absolutely it is. It's not even a question. Economic issues just make it harder. Doesn't mean it's unsolvable. Yep, true. I hate when people say what they would do if they had money. I mean, people can think about whatever they want to think about. But all I'm really trying to say is that I see posts like this, and it's always about blaming another outside force. And I think that fundamentally, that is such a poisonous mindset to have. It is absolute poison to your life to constantly fixate on outside forces that are holding you back or preventing you from succeeding. So there's somebody who's unhappy about what I said. I want to address a few comments here. Didn't make social connections. Didn't make sure to live off the grid. So what about what I'm saying is untrue? Well, in business school, you're taught that boomers fuck shit up with their spending habits. Yeah, but like boomers thought this about like the parents then. Like everybody always blames somebody different than them. Do you really think that boomers didn't do this? Really? Like, do you really think that boomers didn't do the same exact thing? It's crazy. You're rich, so you don't care about the downtrodden? I'm the only person that cares about them. I'm the only person that actually cares and tells people what I think will help them, not what will make them happy. If anybody cares, I'm the only person that does care. True, blaming external puts oneself in a victim position? Yeah. Do we have a response here? Oh, yeah, he typed something. What's up with this? Difference between you and that guy in the video is he's just in the woods? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Because I'm not really... What do you mean? You came from a poor background, right? I came from a working class background. My mom usually made under the poverty line in terms of income. My dad made a good income, and he paid child support, so sometimes we would be fine. And so, yeah, that's really what it is. He's pissed on an argument? Yeah, come on. What's going on with this? He's delivering the same message as you in a different format? No, he's not. You call me privileged, you don't have an argument. No, it's not. Get up. Let's see here. Asmongold work hard as fuck for everything he's gotten. It's not about working hard. Like, it's like, again, here's my best advice I can tell somebody, is that remove the idea of working hard out of your mindset. Delete the idea of working hard. Never think about working hard again. Think about succeeding. Think about how can I succeed at the highest level possible and work backwards from that. Never try to work hard. Make working hard your last resort. That doesn't mean not to do it, okay? Like, for example, today I woke up. Within an hour of waking up, I drove over and I've been doing stuff for one of my companies all fucking day. Then I drove over and I had a meeting for another one. And then I came home, I lay down for 45 minutes, and then I got up and I'm streaming now. And I am streaming into the night, and then I will wake up tomorrow in the afternoon and I will keep doing it. I do this every day. I don't take days off. I do it all the time. That's not hard? Then go do it. I thought it wasn't hard either. Then I went and I did it, and I became massively successful. Go be me. Go do it. I thought it wasn't hard too. I was right. I should take advice from someone who's unemployed. I mean, am I wrong? That's it. Put effort, don't do hard work, so you have no idea what you're saying. You're so stupid, it's painful. Yeah, and like, that's the thing, is like, life doesn't have to be hard for you to be successful. Yeah, you might have an issue with what he has to say, but his numbers don't lie. We're the ones watching him. Well, like, this is one of those memes about streamers. You got lucky? I definitely got lucky. I got lucky in a lot of ways. And you did too. That's why you're on this computer right now at 3 in the morning. You're able to be fucking typing on a PC on high-speed internet. You just got lucky. You just got more lucky than a billion people in the world. There's a billion people in the world that aren't as lucky as you. What are you talking about? Getting lucky. Everybody in here is lucky. You're speaking English. It's one of the most popular languages in the fucking Western world. Jesus. You don't even realize it. That's not luck? Really? Yeah, I forgot. Whenever I made my character creator, I picked the USA. Yeah, I picked USA. Why would anybody go and pick like some random ass dog shit country? Yeah. Oh, bro, like I want to play this game in hardcore mode. Oh, really? Me too. Yeah, let's pick North Korea. Oh my god. He's part Japanese. Yeah, people need to realize being born is lucky. I mean, again, it's just people always like to although we're lucky, you're luckier, bro. Everybody always thinks that, like, I can guarantee you guys that there are things that you have more luck than I do in. And I can also guarantee you that there are things that I have more luck than you do in. And if you constantly try to, like, fucking take that down to a granular level and look and try to abstract out and turn it into like a D&D character chart of why you're a loser and it's not your fault, the only thing you're going to end up with is being a fucking loser. It's never going to get better. No one's ever going to care. Your life will never improve. And you'll still be a fucking loser even after you've had your own fucking support session for yourself to try to make yourself feel better because you're a fucking loser. That's it. How do I know that? Because I used to be there. I know it better than anybody. I mean, if your country is at war, do some political decision in country's government, you can't do anything about it, not have a good job. I'm not talking to people that live in Syria, okay? Like, if you live in Syria, bro, like, yeah, we are very lucky compared to you. Like, absolutely, like, that sucks. That sucks. Yeah, 100%, absolutely. Syria, Reposo, like, that's it, right? Do you think people just fell into money and don't actively work on building up multiple companies or something? This is insane. Do people think you just fell into money? It doesn't matter, right? And so, this is a person that wants to discuss it. conversation. You don't understand the current situation for the pork louie. Okay, so what do I not understand? Explain to me what I don't understand. But ignoring systematic fucked up shit should be addressed? Oh, it should be addressed? Oh, okay. Well, then maybe if you type that 10 times, it will be. What, do you think this is Beetlejuice? What are you doing? Like, what? It's just like such a bad mindset to have. The cost of education is about 20, 40K a year, and they make about 50K average a year. Then why would you get a job there in that field? If you know you're only going to make $50,000 a year, why would you spend $20,000 getting a job, getting an education for that job? So you're mad that the world isn't going to pay you a bunch of money to do what you want to do? Well, what I want to do is sit at home all day and jerk off. And play video games. I only get paid for half of that. The world doesn't owe you a living. At least it doesn't right now. That's not the way it works. They're making 50K, currently paying on a loan. Why they take the loan? You offer questions with no answers? How do you expect them to get an education? Well, I mean, it's not that they're getting an education, but is it not stupid to spend, let's say it's $20,000 a year, $80,000 on loans with a massive amount of interest to get a job that gets you $50,000 a year? That's a bad decision. That's a bad fucking decision. Like, if I was trying to get people to, like, if I had, like, a loan company and I was offering rates like that for a payoff like that, everybody would call me a scam artist. Because it's a fucking scam. It's not a job to get 50K. They're making 50K currently. They're trying to get an education to get a better job. So you're saying they're trying to get an education to get a better job. So they already have a job, and now they're trying to get a better job. The points are beyond terrible? No, they're not. And this is, people are going to cry about this and get mad about it. But I'm still going to be right. And that's what I think people are really mad about. I'll talk to you in a minute, but like, what about this? It's not a job to get 50K. You know it's a bad decision because you have some level of education, so they don't know that. Anybody can look this shit up. I work in the education field and I work with poor students. What's your point? So whenever you work with a poor student, do you think that you're doing them a favor by telling them to take a $20,000 a year loan in order to get a job that pays $50,000? Are you doing them a favor by telling them to do that? I guess there's no point I can make that'll make you understand. What do you feel like I don't understand? I think let's start there. What do I not understand? Predatory, huh? Don't accept the loan. He's saying they're making only 50K. Well, to get better, they want education. It costs so they can get better. Well, let me just have him explain it, because like I'm not sure exactly like what he means. Men being poor, not an excuse to be dumb. That's true. You got the whole internet in front of you. What part do you want me to explain? I want you to explain the position that you think that I'm saying that's incorrect. What am I saying that you think is wrong? Pretty simple, right? You're gonna type it up? Yeah, that's fine. You're good. It's drilled in the student's head that school is a must. It is, and it's a problem that that's the case, but not everybody makes that bad decision, and sometimes people have to be held accountable for bad decisions that they make. I agree with you that that's a problem, but that doesn't mean that, like, so just because bad things exist doesn't mean that it's okay for you to let those bad things allow you to make bad decisions. Like, just because there are cigarettes that exist doesn't mean that you have to smoke them. Like, why are you doing that? Anytime that a person places the fault of action that they make in another person's hand, they are doing themselves a disservice. Unless this is like a 12-year-old or something like that, they are doing themselves a massive fucking disservice. 50K is so much money a year. It depends on where you are. Like 50K in some places in America is completely fine. Other places in America, you can't even afford to live. You have to understand that like the US has like a massive disparity between like, you know, their poor places and their rich places. So it's like 50K in San Francisco, congratulations, you can live in a box. 50K in Ohio and some random fucking, or Wisconsin, something like that. One of these countries that nobody gives a fuck about that's like a square. You probably you can take care of yourself, you can do all right. Iowa. I forgot even what Iowa was. What do you think holds poor people down in America more? Society or economic systems, or their environment they're born in, or their own spirit to succeed? I think that what holds people back a lot of times is the fact that I think it depends on each person. Like, some people are held back because they are bad decision makers. Straight up. Some people are held back because they are a victim of their own bad decision making. They do stupid things that ruin their life. That's what they do. There are other people that are held back because they just have a really low IQ and they're stupid and they're never going to be successful and it's just going to get harder for them. You rolled bad dice, you got a bad roll, bad spawn RNG, your IQ is 79, you're not going to be able to be successful in life. That's the way it is. So there's some people like that. There's other people that are impulsive. You know, they or let's say they're violent, right? You know, they're just like programmed that way. Other people grow up in a household. Like, for example, if you grow up in a household that doesn't speak English, you know, you're like a second generation immigrant and your parents don't speak English and you're growing up in America, you are playing life on hard mode. That absolutely makes it harder. Are there people that have been successful from houses like that? Absolutely. But it is another thing that makes it harder. It does. Low ambition. Yes, and some people are just lazy. I don't know why this is so hard for some people to comprehend, but there are some people who are just lazy that don't really want to work. So people grow up poor in a household, have many issues, some related to cultures, so family is stuck with families to take care of. Well, I understand that very well. 55K in greater LA area, I'm barely staying afloat. I'm surprised you're staying afloat at all. All we want you to do is focus on the people who are given bad dice. Nah, that's a waste of time. Because you know how people that are going to have bad dice are never going to re-roll them? Is if they keep getting coddled and told that they can never overcome their bad RNG. You're right. They absolutely got bad dice. Like, tons of people get bad dice. You're totally fucking right. You're absolutely right. Like, I completely acknowledge that. Like, if you're a man and you're born and you're 5'4", you're fucked. Like, there is a massive, massive fucking debuff on you for the rest of your life that you will never be able to overcome. People will treat you differently for the rest of your life. It's not your fault. You did nothing to do that. It's completely fucking unfair, and it's terrible. But it's true, and that's all there is to it. And so, again, but are there people that are 5'4" and they're successful? Yeah, absolutely. So when they try to go to school, they want to better themselves. They only have two options: hope the state pays for it or get a loan. The loan keeps the person trapped. The biggest issue I have is you overgeneralize the complexity of every person's situation. I overgeneralize the complexity. Well, of course, every person's situation is complex, and that's why I said I never said every person's situation. I said that based off of everybody that I knew. Every person that I know. I'm not talking about every person. I'm talking about people that I know. It's anecdotal. Of course it's anecdotal. And what are his examples going to be? They're also anecdotal. I think that a lot of those people are victims of their own behavior. Absolutely. What else can you do but generalize? Yeah, of course you have to generalize. So if you're poor or born into a bad situation, assume your life is fucked based on this logic? Well, it is. Your life is fucked. Yeah, you are. You're fucked. And it's up to you to get out of it. because nobody gives a fuck about you. Who cares about you? So you either go and get out of it or you don't. Like, that's it. The world's not going to change. If you die tomorrow, nobody's going to care. It's not going to change the world. Everything's going to go on just like normal. The world doesn't need you. You don't need to exist. I'm just the same. I'm not special. My data is actual factual because we have a report data to the state. What part of the data is factual? What part of it is factual? Asmongold today is pretty nihilistic. It's very sad that people have that mindset, because I think that what I'm saying is, I think that I am one of the only people that is compassionate about this issue. I think everybody else wants to coddle and make themselves feel good for being understanding. And I think that the process of doing that is actually self-indulgent. It's self-indulgent and it's unproductive. So whenever I see people do this, I don't think that they're doing anybody any favor. If you die tomorrow, who cares? I'm also compassionate. Yes. Yep. That's right. It's like what I said with my dad. I was crying, telling my dad I was so sad because I had watched an anime of a guy who used to be a badass who's now like an old man and he's not able to get around, and it reminded me of my dad. And my dad just paused. I was talking to him on the phone. And he says, yeah, that's right. That is what happens, and it's going to get even worse. That's what he told me. That's not compassion? It is. How is it compassion to not prepare your son for the future? How could that possibly be compassion? That's the opposite. Compassion is confronting reality. Compassion isn't just being nice to people and coddling them. Income, ethnicity, academic plan. I believe you're mistaken. Your compassion for something else. And this is what people always like to do. People always like to, they like to intellectualize their own reality and their own actions into becoming data. You are not data. You are not your income, your ethnicity, your academic plan. You are a person. Like, don't allow yourself to remove your own accountability. Don't let people like this try to tell you that, like, oh, well, you know, you're set up for failure. This is a terrible fucking mindset, and I can guarantee you it will never improve your life. It will only make you worse. This will never happen. It will never make it better. It's compassion in the form of honesty. You're right. Based on this Excel table, you're fucked and it's somebody else's fault. Congrats. That's right. You don't seem to contribute in conversation. Yeah, I get what you're saying, right? But, like, I think that your entire mindset is totally wrong. I think that you have a completely wrong mindset for this. Like, I don't really like talking about generalities and, like, overall. And that's what I was saying about, like, with the incels. Like, if you can talk about an individual person and look at what that person is doing, I bet you can find things that they're doing wrong. And that's the point that I'm making. Is that we have to talk about generalities, but the truth is that each individual person has to either take accountability for something. You disagree, but he isn't wrong? Yeah, he's not wrong, but, like, Well, is he wrong or not? Like, I don't know. I think that there's plenty of people that have been in every ethnicity, income, and academic plan that have been massively successful, right? So, like, is he wrong all the time? Is he right all the time? No. Is he wrong all the time? No. So, yeah, that's it. It's a bad mentality. It's a terrible mentality to have. Guy says that random generalization offers no data or evidence. Also say the other person isn't contributing. What the fuck? Well, I'm just saying, like, that's generally what my mindset is. I'm not going to ban this guy. So, what's this person? Is this guy still here? You're wrong. So, Gorfin, what do you think I'm wrong with? Whether if you're poor, you have access to higher education financially. There's only a few niche cases where this is not true. Well, of course, everybody has access to education. People have more access to education now than they ever have. Like, and it's unprecedented. Like, it's an unprecedented amount of access to education that transcends any capacity of knowledge that we've ever had at any other point in time. Not only education, but also information? Yes. Where do I even start? The fact that you can sit there and say, don't worry about others and not yourself is because people create a world that focuses on... What about macro issues? What do macro issues have to do with you? You think about macroeconomics. Are you a country? You're a person. Why are you trying to abstract this out from yourself? Having access to education means nothing since we're competing against people who also have the same possibilities. Well, then just beat them. Basic issues like healthcare, racism, poverty. Who do you think fixed all these unnecessary barriers? People who aren't selfish, let's call it societies. What does that have to do with you? Like, you're intellectualizing this. Like, poverty as a macro issue. Like, I'm talking about you, your actions, what you do whenever you wake up tomorrow at 11 a.m. What about 11 p.m.? Like, let's talk about those things. Not some macro issue that you can blame on somebody else that you can never solve. You're never going to solve any of these problems. You're never even going to come close. So why are you thinking about them? Make excuses, bro. Like, yeah, keep making excuses. I'm sure maybe if you come up with another excuse, it's going to improve your life. What does growing up poor and malnourished have to do with me? Maybe fixing a future so people don't have to go through it again? What does that have to do? Oh my God, bro. Like, you just don't even get it. Oh my God. Like, you don't even understand. Like, I don't know what I can say to make you understand. Like, actually, I don't even really... I don't even know how to respond to this. Like, what's your point? There's nothing you can say because you're an idiot. Name 5 non-fiction books. I can't name a single one. But you're in my chat talking shit about me, and I'm reading your chat. If reading books mattered, then apparently you probably would be in my position. But you're not. You're crying like a bitch in my chat. Name all the books you want. It's still gonna make you a bitch. What's the point that you're making? The book argument. Oh my God. He's calling me selfish? Of course I'm selfish. Yeah, of course. Everybody is. True, but you're so stupid. I couldn't look away like an idiot car crash. You've been following my stream for 3 years. You've been looking at me for 3 years. Do you want to live in a meritocracy? I mean, generally, right? I mean, like, yes and no. Like, so for example, if somebody's like a quadriplegic, they would just be in a complete meritocracy. Like, they would be effectively like euthanized, right? I don't think we should euthanize people that are disabled. So, like, not a complete meritocracy. Same with old people. So, like, no and yes. In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Then eliminating unnecessary barriers to success for all people, path forward for this. again, you are intellectualizing. You are intellectualizing society in an abstract way that you have no real control over. Like, I don't care about your macro philosophy on society. Nobody does. What I am saying is that when you wake up tomorrow, you either do something that benefits you, or you spend another day being a fucking loser. Intellectualizing, using basic grade school logic. No. What I'm saying is that you constantly extrapolate and, like, you make these arguments to, instead of a person, you make them to a society. You're talking about a society again, and you are not a society, you are a person. So whenever you talk about how society needs to change, this is like a form of, in my opinion, like mental masturbation. You're like talking about how smart you are and how bad society is, but like there's really no effect it's ever going to have, right? We live in a society, idiot, that's why. Well, there's people that live in a society that I guarantee you are successful despite different disadvantages that they've had. So, like, I think that we've diverged a lot here. What do you what's your point? What's your point about this? Why you even respond to trolls? I think that, like, responding to comments like this really doesn't bother me at all. Like, I'm really not bothered by this. This is fine. Because I think that a lot of people encapsulate this mindset, and I think that it's important to talk about it because it's so prevalent. And I think that there's a lot of people in my chat that have this mindset, and it's unhealthy. And a smart person would ask, why do those barriers exist in the first place, and how do we, there's no we. There's no we. You get we out of your mind. There's no we, there's just you. How do you remove those barriers? How do you fix these problems? Again, you are extrapolating problems. Of course there are problems with society. Nobody's debating that. It's a waste of time to fixate on them. It'll never improve anything. Isn't it better to focus on people who are normal, rational, give respect you love, instead of giving your time to people that are absolute trolls? No, I actually think that a lot of people feel this way. I think that like a solid 20% of people in society feel this way. I actually think the number could be higher for young people. The fact that you can sit there in your room and suck down Dr. Pepper in safety is because of the we. It's actually not. It's because I paid for the Dr. Pepper with money that I earned. And it's because I paid for the house. That's the reason why. Like, you, and again, like, and this is the point. Like, you're thinking about abstracts. You're thinking about things collectively. I think about things individually. Because that is actionable behavior. And I think that people think about things collectively and abstractly because it's easier and it gives them a justification for why they don't have to act. That's what I think. We is such a lazy shortcut idea, make it seem like massive people agree with terrible ideas. Well, I'm just saying, like, a we doesn't really matter. I'm sure Martin Luther King had taken your advice and stayed home, the world would be a better place. No. Because he went out and he changed things himself. He started with himself. That's the point. He didn't complain about it. He went out there and he gave speeches and he marched and he got fucked up. He got pursued by the FBI. They tried to fucking kill him. And then finally somebody did fucking kill him. And he died for that shit. You're going to try to compare that to somebody who's talking on Reddit about how society is bad? You're not doing anything. But you think you're Martin Luther King? Holy fuck. It's just what is this? Alone or with others, with people inside. Again, it's always about other people. It's always about other people. You cannot comprehend the idea of individual responsibility. You cannot comprehend the idea of it. And I find it to be so sad. You don't get it. You're so afraid, bro. Like, people are afraid of individual responsibility. Imagine lecture people on individual journalism when you got famous for whipping schmegma on your wall and eating MAGA bread. People like to say stuff like this. And I'm in a better position than you are. So what does that make you? Think about that. The reason why you can't even think about yourself in the first place is because you live in a society. Is because we live as social animals. You can't have a job without society. You can't change society. You can change yourself. That's the point. Like, you can't go and change these things. Like, I'm not, like, what do you think? You should vote. You should vote. You should participate in political causes that you believe in. You should contribute to things that you think will improve society. I think you should do all of those things, but you should also at the same time take personal steps to improve your individual situation. That's my point, okay? If you think that's wrong, I don't know what to tell you. Remove the current? That's all this whole progress thing is? Sure, work to remove the current. But at the same time, you better be swimming against it too. Because you can't swim against it, you're not going to be able to remove it either. You're never going to make a social change by yourself. You're not Martin Luther King. It doesn't matter what your views on society are. Nobody cares about your social philosophy. It will never matter. It will never amount to anything. There's never going to be a consequence of what you think. Every time that you get in an argument on the internet about social politics, you will be wasting your time. Every single moment that you spend fighting with somebody like me, you are just wasting your time completely. It will never have a positive impact on your life. It will never improve society. It will never do anything positive for anybody. And the only thing that you can do is to do things in your life that will improve it. And that's it. That's the only thing you can do. And if you think that it's too hard, then just give up. No one will care. They might pretend to care on social media. Maybe for a whole day. But then they won't anymore. And life will go on. And that's all there'll be to it. That's it. People say that's nihilism. I think it's the opposite. Look at the Reddit comments. There aren't any, right? 6? Who is this guy? Instant off the grid, trying to pull himself out. 19-year-old social media, makes believe millions, some online business, sacrifice your 20s and 30s, optimize every aspect of your life. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's correct from his POV. He's wasting his time and effort to have a conversation because he's insulting, not having a decent argument. I just think that, I think, again, people try to always intellectualize arguments so they can justify why they're not in another position. I think that it's a bad idea, and I think it's toxic and unhealthy. I get that some people want to do that, but I don't think that it's helpful, and I don't think that it will ever have a positive impact on their life. Like, I don't think that there will ever be a point where it's like somebody's internet argument that they had in text over a Reddit conversation or a Reddit... Like, I have never made a Reddit comment that I feel like improved my life.